All right, we're good to go. Thank you. All right, I will call this meeting to order. Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Angie Wolf.
Here.
Cindy Biting.
Here.
Mary Beth Shaw.
Here.
James Carpenter. Here. Barb Stotts.
Here.
Matt Pearl. Here.
Thank you. I do approve of posting. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On that loud note.
Musical
Wow, right? All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you both. Any changes or questions? Hearing none. Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. No public input. Move on then. Do I have a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes of December 12th?
So moved. Second.
Any changes needed for that one? Not hearing any. Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James? Barb?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. Do I have a motion to approve the payroll accrual and disbursements as they've been presented?
I'll make it.
Second.
Thank you both. Any questions on those? Not hearing any. Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb? Yes. Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. Moving right along, look at that. Reports. I have two things I just wanted to mention. I wanted to just say, be on the lookout. We are in year 5 for our future search. So it's very exciting. We're looking to do kind of a little 5th year celebration. So look for details for that. It's crazy that was 5 years ago already. And then also next week, Mary Beth, Barb, Jordan, and I will all be at the convention in Milwaukee again for the WASB School Board Convention. So always a good time and lots of fun. So yeah. Jordan?
Appreciate it. Admin, I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to make it a point to verbally share, so I'll just throw that out there quickly and pause. They look content.
They do look content. Yep.
School board members, do you have any questions regarding the administrative reports?
We're good. Moving
We're
right
all
along.
content. Let's keep
Well,
moving.
good, I love being content. All right, we'll move into 5.1 Facilities and Transportation, getting an update on our planning for our solar projects.
Yes, so just wanted to give some updates. Number one, we continue to work on the Public Service Innovation Grant. If you remember when Burke was here about a month ago, we talked about the fact that that's a competitive grant. So we are working on that. Appreciate the collaboration with Burke and his team because there's certainly some questions on that that are highly technical and that we would not be able to answer without their electrical expertise. So we've been going back and forth. We do have a Zoom scheduled for next Monday, the 16th, to make sure that we hit the deadline of January 30th. We've got a really good draft right now, so I am confident we will submit on time. Having reviewed the application again today, it says that they will be reviewing submissions in February, and it says we will hear in the spring of 2023. So not exactly sure what that means, whether that's March, April, hopefully not May, because that would be quite late in this process. But that's really what the literature says there. And then just a few updates from Burke. I emailed him late last week to see if he had any updates. Estimated project start is July. He had talked about that the last time he was here as well. And then completion, he wanted to be safe, so he said November.
Don't blame
Just
me.
in time for the sunny season.
Yeah, exactly. If it's like this year, it'll be beautiful and sunny 1 out of every 15 days. But he did basically say that he just wants to be conservative with supply chain and everything else. He does not want to promise something he can't keep, which I do understand. I did receive a copy of the installation agreement from Burke on Friday, and I passed that on to our attorney for review, who I then spoke to today because there was a number of things that he had pointed out. So we're in the process right now of going back and forth with Full Spectrum on the installation agreement to make sure that the language in that contract is good for the district. So that's really the update on solar at this point. Does anyone have any questions for me regarding that or something that you wanted me to specifically try to take back to Burke for more input?
I just wanted to acknowledge that letter that resident
I agree, and I wish I knew exactly, and perhaps at some point, when there's some idle time, we could try to do some further research. But I think it's probably safe to say that in terms of the number of school districts in the state of Wisconsin, that as of the fall of 2023, would be able to say that they're offsetting 38% or more of their electrical usage through solar energy. Wisconsin Hanks will be a pretty exclusive company in that regard. So I think for you guys as a board to support something like that, both from an energy standpoint, from the environment, and then from a financial standpoint, the benefits that we can see over the years with savings as energy continues to get more expensive, this pays for itself even faster because we're using 2023 dollars to pay for inflated cost. So I really do think that that puts us in pretty rarefied air as well in terms of the district. So I do think it's something that our residents and community can be proud of as well. So yeah, I'm not sure what kind of data there is.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can look into it, but once again, I think it's safe to say that there's not many. There's certainly buildings. We've seen the buildings. There's one in New York school district that's net zero, but that's one building in a much larger scheme.
Probably come through Alliance since they have a monopoly on everything anyway. Yeah. They've got all the data.
For this region, perhaps. So, yes, appreciate that, James, and appreciate that community member as well. I'll keep you posted, though, as things develop with the process with Burke.
Awesome. Moving on then to curriculum. It looks like, Dale, you have a presentation to present to us.
Yes, he does.
I do.
He's already moving.
Well, we have had 3 snow days this school year. So my first slide, really million-dollar question that many of us get asked is how many snow days do we have left? And the next slide really lays that out for us in terms of our DPI requirements. And we put together a projection. So if we weren't to have any other snow days the rest of the school year, at the elementary level, we're in good shape. We would project, you can see 1,108 hours of instruction throughout the school year, so we meet the requirement easily. You can see at the secondary level, we're 60 minutes short. We're an hour short as of today. Okay, that is factoring in our previous three snow days. So Beth, go ahead and go to the next slide. So what we'd like to do and what we plan to do is put together our virtual learning plan for our next snow day or next inclement weather day. At the elementary level, we will continue with a typical snow day, but we will make sure that our grade level teams, and we've asked our grade level teams to create a snow day or a enrichment folder on Schoology with activities available to students and to parents that they can access on a snow day. Many of our grade level teams already have this in place, but we'll make sure that we'll talk with their teachers. Teachers can communicate that out with our kids and with our parents. But I would venture to guess most of our elementary students will know how to get to that place already and already accessing that. At the secondary level, we would like to transition to a virtual learning day for all students in grades 6 through 12. We got together, and Deb, go ahead and click on the link. Put together an outline. I don't know if you can make that a little bit bigger, but tried to keep this as simple as possible with plenty of detail in there. So I'm going to go through this, but we separated out teacher responsibilities, student responsibilities, and there's a little overlap there. But and our teachers have seen this plan. Liz did send it out to our 612 staff. I've talked to a number of teachers about it already, and I know Liz has as well, and Kendra, I'm sure. But teachers will review the virtual learning plans with students as soon as possible. Many have already done so. I think many of our kids are already aware of, okay, our next snow day we're going to go virtual. So some of that has already been communicated both at the middle and high school level. One of the questions that we have, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but we know we may have some students that have limited internet access at home. So as the teachers share the learning plan with their classes, They will identify any students that may have limited access and put together a plan for them, whether that could be hard copy materials, or they have their laptops. They could download items onto their laptop and then pull them up on the desktop on that first snow day. And depending on the situation, sometimes we can anticipate certain snow days, so we'll make sure that we have that in place. So we think we have that group taken care of as well. Obvious things too, teachers will indicate how to submit assignments and how that'll get turned in, so that will need to be communicated. Specialist teachers will review snow day procedures with students who have additional supports. Specifically that would be our special ed population. So Matt was involved with our planning with this, and we went through that process and what that would look like, so we would make sure that those students that needed any modifications or special needs on those days, we will have a plan in place for those students as well. And you can see some specifics there. Teachers will post lessons by 8:30 a.m. on a snow day. We'll have open Zoom times, and we'll have a morning session and an afternoon session set up. Teachers will share those links with the students. That will give the students an opportunity to get any feedback or ask questions at least a couple of times through the day. And of course, our teachers would be available for additional Zoom time if needed with their students. Then we would take attendance on the following school day based on the completion of assignments or activities, or if the student had connected with the teacher during that snow day online. Could be through email, Schoology message, or logging in on a Zoom session. That's how we would do that. We can see the student responsibilities there as well. Students would check, obviously log in, check Schoology, make sure they know what they need to do, and then complete and return their assignments. And then teachers or students would need to reach out to teachers if they had any questions through messaging or Zoom links. Any questions about the plan or how that's organized?
And it sounds like it's gonna be just on their own, no synchronous activities.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
Okay.
Would have the Zoom link, so an activity a teacher may have, hey, everybody Zoom in with me at this time. But to start with, it would be asynchronous with access to the teacher during the day.
I think the other key thing that we've talked about regarding that question, because that's a question we've discussed multiple times internally, is if we found ourselves in this, let's hope this doesn't have to be used at all. Maybe it has to be used one time, okay? Now we think back to a couple of years ago, and I think we had that one stretch where we had like 3 or 4 cold days, like basically in a row. Well, we may be, to use an overused term, pivoting, and that second or third day, like, we just may need to communicate and say, hey, we are gonna have live Zooms. So I mean, I do think that whole flexibility piece, but on the front end, the thought is that asynchronous provides maximum flexibility for kids and some for staff as well. But if we get to the point where it's like, we really need to connect and have some synchronous learning going on, I think people understand that that's a possibility.
As we put our plan together, we use the DPIs, they posted things school districts need to consider if they plan to go with virtual learning time. And so they highlight 7 items, and we went through this list one by one. We talked about it. We talked about certain families. We talked about staff. But first on the list was internet and device access. Our students all have devices that they have. Hopefully, we have we'll do some reminders, make sure they take them home prior to a snow day. But access is there. The online learning experience, and I'll say to this, if you think about the options that we have, having a virtual day of learning or adding a day on at the end of the school year, the learning that's going to take place I think will be better in this model than if we add it on June 8th or June 9th, or whatever it may be. Our seniors will already be gone. This we just felt was more productive, where we can attach learning throughout the school year. Staff access should not be an issue. Communication of expectations of learning. And that's on my next slide, but, you know, that's a big part of what we need to make sure that we do a good job with is communicating out to our students, parents, and the staff, just what the expectations are and how it's gonna work. Number 5, that was, you know, just continuing on with the learning throughout the school year, having that piece to connect from one day to the next, we thought was a strength of our virtual learning day plan. The accommodation support, I already touched a little bit on that, you know, particularly our special ed population, but any students that are need some additional support, we'll make sure that we identify that. And then just the instructional time and how that'll count towards our minutes. We feel good about our plan. So communication, I've already mentioned, we've already sent this out to our 612 staff. I also wanted to join Liz on her next staff meeting here in January. We're going to talk a little bit more together about that later in the month in regards to just the expectations for them on this virtual learning day. Students, that'll start with their teachers. Each hour, each teacher will touch base with them. Here's, you know, with their Schoology page, here's the expectations, here's what you need to do. So that's a piece there. And I've drafted a letter, had a draft to Jordan. We'll review it as a admin team tomorrow. That's going to go home district-wide. All goes well, that'll go out sometime tomorrow, just to communicate the plan out to parents. Any questions or thoughts that we can help you with?
Oh, do we still need to make up the hour, then that we're short?
Great question. And we're just going to pause on that right now. We'll see, let's get through the rest of winter. We don't know if we'll have a 2-hour delay. We may have an early out. If we get through January, and I'm going to say most of February, making up an hour of time, that's pretty easy to do. But before we do that, you know, let's get through these winter months before we make any decisions as to how we're going to make up that time. More than likely, to just be adding, we could shave some time off lunch period. We could add a couple of minutes on the start of the day, a couple of minutes on the end of the day. But before we make any plans, let's just find out how much time we actually have to make up before.
Good plan.
The bottom line is we will make it up somehow.
Somehow.
Yes.
This is one of those rules that you follow, you fill it in on the DPI website, it spits out a number at the end. So our number will be what the number has to be.
No, I thank you for your work. I think this is, you know, we've all experienced now that online world, and it just feels like the next thing that we just kind of have to do. And I know that students will not want to go in June longer than they have to, and they see the nice sunny days. So I think this is a good alternative to kind of get us ahead of that. Yeah, it's nice that there's an option now.
Just the general sense from the students I've talked with and with the staff, I sense they were expecting we would come out with some sort of plan, and we were going to go virtual instead of trying to make it up.
That's good. Thanks for your work.
Any other questions before we move on? Like Gail
Like you
said, next step, communication, getting that out to parents, solidifying details with our families, because you never know what's could happen on Friday, just the way it goes.
Well, tomorrow is supposed to have icy rain.
Well, I appreciate
So,
that, so
just
we'd
to-
be behind the 8 ball on this one.
Just so you
overall.
know.
I had asked Jordan, and thank goodness the DPI doesn't require an actual attendance percentage to fulfill the hour requirement. Because that was one of my questions. It's like, oh, if you only have 50 kids checking in as a student, that's cool. But thankfully, that's not the case. So,
And
they
they
are
won't-
due diligence.
And on that, do they need to submit like a excused absence or anything like that, or is it just a extra day that they missed then, or how will that work?
On virtual day,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we'll have to follow up with those students that don't check in or are marked absent
Mm-hmm.
on those days. Like, just we follow our normal absence procedure.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, if you think 5 years ago, this would be a lot more difficult, but now almost all the kids have laptops.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to going on there for their daily homework. So just our investment in technology is making things like this much easier.
Absolutely.
I would agree, and part of what we had to learn during the pandemic and figured out through the collaboration with families was who had internet access and who did not. And we still do actually have some hotspots, and are still helping a few families who access has been an issue for. So to Dale's point, the thought of following up with all of our students and just checking in that regard, try to support them if we have to go this route. I think that's just another thing. And, I mean, we had a shared leadership team meeting today, and we talked about some of the things that we learned during the pandemic. And one of the things we talked about was this notion of like essential standards and focusing on what's most important to kind of keep the ball rolling even throughout those difficult online times. And our staff, I think the proof's in the pudding, our staff did that pretty well because we didn't see a major hit on levels of learning for our students. So if that was an abysmal experience, I would feel less confident about this than I do, but it really wasn't. They found ways to keep kids learning and keep them engaged. So if we have to do this a time or two, I think we all agree, this is much better than, sorry, you need to show up on June 7th, 8th, 9th, whatever, because at that point, it's just, people are checked out. So this is a good option to have available. Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it. Thanks, team, for working together on that.
Great. That's all of our focus points. So we'll move then on to district business. And do I have a motion to deny an open enrolled student?
So, good.
Thank you all. To say, Mike? Or
Yes.
Did you want to say anything
No,
else? Or?
there's not a lot to say. I mean, the statutes around open enrollment and then our board policy as well do provide this avenue, not something an avenue that we like to take or pursue. Unfortunately, in this situation with a great deal of communication and effort to collaborate, it's not working out. So we're finding ourselves in this unfortunate position.
Mike, I have heard you.
Yes.
Mike,
Angie?
Angie, thank you.
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. All right, do I have a motion to approve the Ecology class trip to California between April 20th and April 25th of 2023?
So, second.
I'm very excited. So, thank you.
So I thought Joel said it wasn't gonna happen anymore.
Uh,
Change his mind.
I would have said the same thing a couple of years ago as well. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking.
Yes.
It's a lot of planning and then a huge responsibility as well, which we all appreciate his willingness to do this. And I know this is something that we talk about, special opportunities in our school district. So yes, please, if you see Joe and Natalie and anyone else that's involved, thank them because this would have been easy to use the pandemic as a legitimate excuse to never do this again.
Yeah.
So kids who missed out on it, say last week, do they get a chance to partake or not?
That I do not believe to be true. I have not been intimately involved in the details of the planning, but I just think from a logistics standpoint that, Kendra, perhaps you know more than I do,
I believe they have to be in-house students.
presently in the class.
Yeah, but we're taking junior and seniors, I believe.
So,
I chose not to tell Kylie.
I like the point on there that students are going to come and give us a presentation. So I think that's always the
I
best part
love
is
that.
kind of understanding the impacts that something like that can have after the fact, not just getting kids excited.
Let's hope the rain stopped in San Francisco.
Well,
Still
got
have fun.
April.
Got April.
Got a little time yet. All right, Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb? Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. On to co-ops. Do I have a motion to approve co-op renewals and team ad? We've got the renewals and adding listed there for us.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thanks, guys. One thing I think is kind of interesting is adding that River Valley. It's just kind of a neat spin and hopefully add some extra girls. Do you guys have any other questions on all that? It's exciting to have collaboration. Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. Do I have a motion to combine District Business 9-1 to 9-4?
So, second.
Great. Any questions on any of those? Not hearing any, Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'll say yes as well. Very excited about cheer. Do I have a motion to approve the roofing work on the south gym with a not to exceed of $205,000?
Second.
Thanks, guys. So this is kind of getting us on a path to have, so we don't have a huge roofing project at the end. This is gonna get us on that schedule, and I think it's gonna be a really good schedule for us moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we learned the hard way as a district when we realized that Black Earth was gonna be a full removal and replacement to the tune of, I mean, by the time we actually would have done the project, over $1 million. So that thought of deferred maintenance and projects just catching up to you to the point where it becomes $1 million plus project. With the referendum work that was done, and the one section of roof that was repaired during the referendum, and then obviously having a brand new roof on the elementary school, with the timing of the other things that had been done, 10, 15 years ago, this will get us back on track. So I think from a district budget standpoint, the thought of a project of this nature every year or two to then keep us under warranty, not have these issues where we have hoses and tarps and everything else, is just a much better position for us to be in.
And buckets for
And
drips
buckets.
and.
Which, yes, I mean, to be perfectly honest, even a new roof will have a leak here and there. A flat roof, freeze thaw, it happens in Wisconsin.
Mhm.
But having the substantial issues that we had at Black Earth, I think getting us on a schedule like this allows us to avoid something like that. So this gets us under warranty for all sections. And then, like I said, I think strategically the thought is we tackle maybe a section every year or two, and we just stay in that cycle.
And I think it's important to note that then we have the ability to budget for those as well, because we know what's coming and what needs to be changed.
Exactly.
This is also why we didn't want to put our solar on our.
Right.
Someone asked me last week, they're like, oh, you're putting on the roof, and I said, no. And they were confused, and I said, well, these are the reasons why, and I kind of talked about some of this, and they said, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Mhm.
But when they think of solar projects at schools, most people think it's going on the roof.
Mhm. All right, any other questions, thoughts? Not hearing any, Mike?
Yes.
Angie?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I will say yes as well. Future meeting dates, so we do have January 30th set as our workshop. That's at 5 o'clock. So that will be a good one. Anything else that we need? Good otherwise? Otherwise, I will have clerk, could you call a roll, please, to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, parent 1, parent C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. When the executive session ends, the school board meeting is adjourned.
Angie Wolf,
Yes.
Cindy Kighting,
Yes.
Mary Beth Shaw,
Yes.
James Carpenter,
Yes.
Barb Stotts,
Yes.
Matt Crone.
Great, thank you.